Do things that don't scale, solve real problems. Welcome to Startup Hack. All right, let's get real for a second. How many times have you heard people say, do things that scale? Well, I'm here to tell you, do things that don't scale. That's right, solving real problems requires you to get your hands dirty, do the unscalable things, and focus on what really matters. We're not just here to build pretty solutions. We're here to solve real problems that actually impact people. So let's dive into why I would say that here and what magic this will create. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomason, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps, as well as to build custom software solutions for companies. I do a lot of work as a fractional CTO with over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development. I've mastered the art of transforming technology, teams, and products. So here's what Brian Chesky, founder of Airbnb, said. Do things that don't scale. And guess what? That's how Airbnb went from a quirky idea to a global behemoth. When they started, they didn't build a scalable platform from day one. They went door to door, taking photos of host homes themselves. That obviously wasn't scalable, but it worked because it solved the real problem for their customers at that level. They weren't worried about scaling, they were worried about getting it right first. So the truth is, you don't need to build something scalable from day one. I see so many startups try to over-engineer their solutions from the get-go, thinking they need to be prepared for when they hit 1 billion users. So newsflash, you're not going to hit 1 billion users if your initial product doesn't solve a real problem. Focus on making something that works even if it doesn't scale right away. Solve real problems, not the ones you think you might have 5 years from now. And that brings me to my next point. Don't over-engineer. Look, I get it. We developers love to think ahead, but sometimes we think too far ahead. There's a difference between good planning and over-engineering yourself into a corner. You can't plan for every scenario that's going to happen. And when you try to, you waste time and resources on features that you may never need. So you need to solve what's right in front of you first. Don't stress over things that are half a lap away in the track. So speaking of racetracks, let me give you a personal example. My boys and I race dirt bikes, and one of the key lessons in dirt biking is to look 50 feet ahead of you, not right in front of your fender. The same principle applies in tech. You've got to be able to look 50 feet ahead and solve those problems more than just what's right in front of you. But you don't want to be looking a whole lap around the track ahead. You can't be focused on something that's so far off when you've got to solve that problem that's 50 feet in front of you. So keep your eyes on the real problem at hand, not the imaginary one so far ahead you can't even understand it yet. Now look, if your company is struggling because your systems aren't connected, you're already doing the things the hard way. And that's where we come in. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer because our specialty is connecting your systems to help your company work like a well-oiled machine. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer because we'd love to come help you out. Now let's dive back into it, solving real problems. And that means ditching overcomplicated business plans. I've seen countless startups invest in months into perfecting a business plan, only for it to be thrown out the window when they hit the real world problems. I love the quote from Mike Tyson where he says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So business plans are great for making you feel like you've got everything under control, but let's be honest, you're not really worth much when reality kicks in. The faster you can start solving real customer problems, the better off you're going to be. So what's a real problem? Well, real problems are the ones your users are actually facing right now. They're not hypothetical what ifs that could pop up someday. When you're building your product, focus on what your users are telling you they need, not what you think they might want in the future. I tell my developers all the time, let's solve the real problem. The best innovations don't come from solving potential future problems. They come from solving the issues your users are having today. One of the biggest mistakes I see founders make is getting caught up in the idea of scaling too early. Scaling is great, but only if your product works. If your initial product doesn't solve a real problem, it doesn't matter how scalable it is. Nobody's going to use it. Solve what's in front of you first and worry about scaling once you've got something that people actually care about. You can't scale what doesn't work. Now here's a pro tip. Don't be afraid to throw out your business plan. I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. You can have the most detailed, polished plan in the whole world, but the second your product hits the market, things are going to change. It's inevitable. So stop obsessing over the perfect plan and start focusing on solving the problems that your customers are facing today. That's where the magic happens. And remember, if your systems aren't connected, let us help you out. Now let's talk about over-engineering again, because it's a trap I see so many developers fall into. You don't need to build a system that can handle 1 million users on day one. In fact, most of the time, trying to build that kind of infrastructure from the start is a waste of time and resources. Focus on building something that works for your first 100 users. If you can do that, you'll figure out how to scale it later. It's all about solving the real problems in front of you. Now remember what I said about dirt bikes? In dirt biking, you've got to keep your eyes 50 feet in front of you, not right on the front fender. Same goes for product development. You need to be looking just far enough ahead to make the right decisions, but not so far ahead that you're worrying about things that are way so far off in the distance. So if you try to plan for every little detail that might happen down the road, you're going to miss the real issues right in front of you. And here's something we don't talk enough about. Solve problems, don't create them. I've seen teams get so wrapped up in trying to build the perfect solution that they end up creating more problems than they solve. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Get something out there that works, even if it's not perfect. You can iterate later. The goal is to solve the real problems that are keeping keeping users up at night, not the ones that might show up 5 years from now. I can't tell you how many times we've solved something thinking we'll take care of this later, only to find out that what we built actually worked and we never come back to it. Not because it's tech debt and we're ignoring it, but because instead it worked and we didn't need to reinvent it. So to wrap it up, Brian Chesky had it right. Do things that don't scale. When you solve real problems, even if it's in a way that doesn't seem scalable, you're setting yourself up for success. Once you have something that works, then you can figure out how to scale it. But don't make the mistake of building something scalable before you've even solved the problem at hand. Do the unscalable, solve the real problems, and worry about scaling when that time comes. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to have a great discussion, so make sure to leave a comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps. So reach out because we'd love to help you. If you want to learn to code, we can largely get most people applied for through the government and help get your tuition covered. So check out startuphack.com and reach us at info@startuphack.com because we'd love to help you out. And we'll catch you guys next time.